hello. Welcome to Do Not Talk. I am Charlie Simons, your host and MC here on this big old bad old broadcast. And I'm really glad you're here. We try and go every day live at 12:05. And I want to bring you a different guest every day. It's been just fantastic, the people I've been meeting lately, especially the one I have for you today. Man, I was so glad to get to meet him, especially when I found out his background. He's like me. He's a media guy. Only he was even more into the television production, film production kind of stuff. And now he's blazing his own trails and doing his own thing. I like that. I had to do that too. Not because I wanted to. I was planning on retiring with the Salem Media Group. I was planning on retiring with ABC when I was with them over there in the San Francisco city by the bay. I was going to retire with them. Loved working for them. But when Disney bought ABC, they fired everybody, trying to break the union. So from there, I've worked with CBS and the Radio and Television Network, and I enjoyed my time there as well. But I've always encountered a lot of censorship because from right out of the gate, I mean, I'm just a good old boy from Bakersfield, working in the fourth largest market in the nation, surrounded by people who despise everything that I believe in and stand for. How's that? So when all this happened during COVID and the COVID shutdown and all the mass firings at the Salem Media Group, which was where I'd been for 7 years, I found myself looking at podcasting because everybody had been telling me for years, Charlie, you're too conservative. You don't even belong in media. Everybody, I mean, you just get censored and in trouble all the time. And I always did. Why don't you start a podcast? I'm like, that's all I need is one more thing. It won't make me any money. And so I got into podcasting with Forefront Aerial Productions. Kirk Deshawn, my producer, invited me to be the host of this show. And I said, absolutely. And we've been on a trail of fame and fortune ever since. Well, kind of. There's hundreds of thousands of people out there doing the same thing. How do you stand out from them? It's been a slow process. And if it's the Lord's will for us to actually make money from this, someday it will. Until then, I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it for the message. I'm doing it for Ephesians 5:11, which says, be no part of darkness, but instead even expose it. That's what I do. And I'm not the only one. I'm so glad to say I'm not the only one exposing so much evil in the world. There are others out there, but they get ignored by the media or they get made fun of. Like this gentleman right here. Check it out.
My name is Rick Jones. I'm the Butler County Sheriff, Butler County, Ohio. I just came back from a national sheriff's training in D.C. 2 days ago. We were briefed by the FBI director, Ray, the director of the FBI, and several federal agencies. There's 3,300 sheriffs in the United States. The President of the United States refuses to meet with the sheriffs of the 3,300. We have a hierarchy. We have a president. We have a vice president. The President of the United States refuses to meet with the sheriffs. He also refuses to meet with the police chiefs of the United States. They have a hierarchy also. He refuses to meet with them to talk about border issues or to talk about crime that's going on because of the border issue. We were also told by Mr. Ray, the FBI director, that there are more red flags going off now than before 9/11. Okay? When I say red flags, meaning people that are here in this country that are wanting to do harm to us. We were also explained we're bombing 2 countries right now. 2 countries. These people do not like us before this started. There's thousands of people here from other countries, 160 different countries. They're here not to be our friends. Some of them are coming because they're wanting to come here to the best country in the world, the way we see it. Some are coming here to do harm to us. And we were told by the FBI director, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. We were also told 5 sheriffs went to Israel 5 weeks after the attack. The only thing that saved the Israelis The government was the local police. They were outgunned, outmanned. They came over. The Palestinians did. They came over. They killed, raped. The sheriffs were there. They talked to the police. The local police are what saved that country. You can't just call, even in Israel, you can't just call the military up and they're going to be there, okay? They went house to house, raping, killing. The Israeli police, when our guys got there, the sheriffs, said they just don't hate us. They hate you guys equally. And the same people that train them are the same people that train people to hate us. The FBI director said when 9/11 hit, there's more red flags now than then. So, and he said, these are people that want to kill us and do harm to us. Now, so you're wondering.
Well, more red flags now, according to the FBI, than before 9/11. I'm anxious for you to meet my guest today on Do Not Talk. And I'm also anxious for you to save up to 80% off all MyPillow products, up to 80% off select products. MyPillow.com with my promo code Lee. That's my middle name, Lee. So you just go to mypillow.com/Lee and put in that promo code Lee at checkout, up to 80% off. So thank you so much to Mike Lindell for letting me be a part of what he's doing and supporting that all American-made products, and for them supporting this show. Scotty SAKS is my guest. He's a media guru. Let's get into it right now on Do Not Talk. Hit it.
Yep, here he comes. Riding his trusted steed through the Sierra foothills as he brings you the news. He calls himself
Charlie.
What you doing, Charlie?
Sorry, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. There you are. Look how cute you are. Yeah.
Hey, Charlie. What's with the dark glasses?
And now, here he is, a man of God, living in a world of Disney.
Ow, Charlie.
Charlie Simons.
Charlie bit me.
I don't know about where you are, Scotty, but we're having a bit of a storm here in Northern California, and it's really jacking with the signal. So hopefully, I mean, that was all glitchy and everything. Hopefully, you're able to hear me. Are you able to hear me?
I hear you, Charlie. I love your opening. Had me smiling big. I love the storytelling. You're a good storyteller, my friend.
Well, thank you, brother. And it's all based in truth. That's the difference between us and them. When I met you, it was my first time through Kim Yater. I had her on talking about the Take Our Border Back convoy. This started in San Ysidro in Southern California, and then we convoyed over to Yuma, Arizona, where we had a huge gathering of patriots there. And then from there, a lot of them from the East or West Coast, rather, continued on to Texas. I was not able to, but I'm so glad I was able to be a part of at least those two rallies and that convoy from California to Arizona. You were a guest speaker. You just blew me away. You said some things about what's going on in the media, because I'll tell you, frankly, I've been incredibly discouraged. We're up against an enemy that permeates 99% of the information that gets out to everybody. And I read so many times that scripture about the devil rules the air in the New Testament, and that used to confuse me. I thought, well, what does that mean, rules the air? Holy Spirit gave me revealed to me what that meant. What comes through the air? Entertainment and information, satellite, broadcast, everything, entertainment and information through the air. And you get up on stage at that very first rally in San Ysidro when I tried to go live, and they blocked our signals. None of us could go live from there. That was bizarre. That was an eye-opener right there. And you were saying things about the media. I'm like, I've been saying this all along. Thank God, here's somebody else. Give us a little bit of your background, would you please, Scotty SAKS?
Well, Charlie, we come from the same background pretty much. I may have had a little broader involvement. So at 17 years old, I was sitting in the offices of Art Linkletter and Arthur Godfrey, watching my dad produce TV shows.
Wow,
And
those are huge names in media, at least in the 40s, 50s, 60s.
yeah,
Huge.
he got him in the late 60s, early 70s. He kind of resurrected their careers. He was one to take guys, and I followed in his footsteps, because in later years I worked with James Brown and Johnny Cash and Kenny Rogers toward the back end of their careers, doing some things with them, syndicating radio and TV programming for them. And what we both saw and both learned over the years is the media doesn't like people who speak the truth. They do not like truth tellers. You have something in the open of your show: politicians depend on keeping us in the dark. Did I see that correctly?
Yes.
Yeah. And that is the truth. The mainstream media, the political system, the education system, the financial system, and the medical system all depend on keeping us in the dark. Isn't that the fact as we know it today? The truth only comes now through podcasters like yourself, people like myself. You said hundreds of thousands now of truth tellers. You know, my background working with guys like Johnny Cash and James Brown taught me an awful lot. I want to share an anecdote right from the Johnny Cash family that you're going to understand and your audience is going to understand. Actually, I'll share two anecdotes that kind of why we're where we're at in 2024. These two things that happen will frame up everything, why we're at where we're at. So let me tell you about Johnny Cash. He was a guy that was an American patriot. If he was alive today, he would have been in the front of that convoy where you and I were on the past 2 weeks. And it was great to meet you. Great to see you at those events. Thank you for all the support you gave to Take Our Border Back Southern Convoy. I'm one of 6 members of the planning committee, and we're not done yet. So I'll keep you posted, Charlie. You can rest assured we're going to keep you in the loop on what's going on. But working with Johnny Cash, I came to learn very quickly in the relationship, he wouldn't go to meetings with the media or the music industry anymore, including a very important meeting. I begged him to come with me. He wouldn't come. I had to go negotiate with his record label the rights to his music because we syndicated a radio show, got it on 200 stations, then got a letter from his record company saying, you don't own that music, Cash, we do. So that radio show you got can't fly without us getting our hands in the pot, right? They wanted their cut. So I had to go negotiate that deal. I said, Johnny, you got to come with me. It's going to be much more effective if you're there. He said, Scotty, I have faith in you, Scotty. You go do it, boy. So when I got back, it happened to be the night I got back, we were at a concert. I was in the green room with his wife. And I asked her, June, why doesn't Johnny do business with the media or the music industry anymore? Why won't he go to meetings? Why won't he have anything to do with them? Well, she had friends in the green room. So she went, because they're a Luciferian satanic cult. They worship Satan. Hello. I didn't know anything of the sort. That was 1989, by the way. I had no idea what she meant even. I had to go read up about Lucifer and Satan and the worship of Satan. I didn't understand that, Charlie. Boy, do we understand it today. Because our enemy is Satan. We're in a spiritual war. We're in a war of good versus evil, God versus Satan, we the people versus the deep state. And we know our enemy is Satan. We know he's infiltrated and subverted all of these systems I mentioned earlier today that keep us in the dark. That's Satan's work. We have no doubt about it. So hold that thought, what June Cash told me. And by the way, I later asked Johnny a few questions. And it's the sort of thing my uncle who escaped the concentration camp didn't want to talk about his days in the concentration camp. Johnny didn't want to talk about his days in the Luciferian cult because he was entrenched in it for years. And he woke up and left that space and wouldn't go to meetings anymore because of what his wife said. So a couple years later, I had the good fortune of sitting with Peter Jennings all alone. You remember Peter Jennings, no doubt.
Of course, it was
Number one.
very amazing. Originally from Canada, he was the news
Yep.
anchor for ABC Nightly News.
Yes, Canadian born, became an American citizen, loved America. I believe he would alive, he'd be a patriot today too. He really loved this country. He bragged on America as a Canadian all the time. But my grandfather didn't like the man. He said he was an anti-Semitic Jew hater. My grandfather also escaped from a concentration camp, and he used to throw things at the TV. He even flicked a live cigar butt at Peter Jennings one time. He kept saying he's a Jew hater. He's a Jew hater. So
Oh, wow.
I decided after Peter had 4 or 5 drinks in him, I don't drink. So I was sitting there watching him drink, and he was getting loose lips, right? So I asked him, Peter, my grandfather didn't like you at all. I said, is there any truth to this? And I related the story to him. He said, well, Scotty, your grandfather is a perceptive man, because when I was a rookie reporter, I didn't get a hotel room. I got a host family. And my host family was a Palestinian Arabic family. And I broke bread with them 18 months. And I suffered a human emotion called sympathy. I do sympathize with the Palestinian. I'm not a Jew hater. I don't, nothing. He said, my bosses are Jewish at the ABC network. He said, and I love my bosses. But he said, your grandfather was picking up on a deep-rooted sympathy that I have for the Palestinian cause. And then what he said is the punchline, Charlie. He said, but it doesn't matter, Scotty. It doesn't matter what I say. I said, come on, you're Peter Jennings. You're the most watched newsman in the world. I knew he was not only number one in America, he had more people watching his newscast than any nightly news in the world. Number one, 15 million, 16 million homes at times. So I said, of course it matters what you say. You're Peter Jennings. My God, you're the number one anchor on a number one newscast every night. I said, no, it doesn't matter, because everything you see and hear on TV is an agenda, is a media construct, an agenda to fit a narrative.
Yep.
You believe he told me that? Peter Jennings told me this.
I cannot actually, and he would have never actually said that officially on camera. I don't believe, because his career would have been over.
No way. He would have.
But it's truth. It's true. I worked for that same network for a long time, ABC, and there was an unwritten rule that there were things you didn't talk about, things you didn't say if you wanted to keep your career. And you know, you could claim to be non-political or non-partisan, but no, everybody above you definitely had an agenda. It was we just knew. Everybody knew that. I was the only Republican in the whole dang building, I swear. But it was an eye opener, that's for sure. And then when Disney bought ABC, it got even worse. Anybody who thinks that still believes that Disney's on your side and they're all about family, you're deluded. You are delusional.
Disney typifies the satanic cult, in my opinion. They are right there supporting the agenda. It's evidenced in their body of work. You can find all kinds of symbolism, right? There's all kinds of symbolism in Disney cartoons. In Disney, you know, I remember watching a cartoon as a kid with my, I think my uncle and my father were there, and it was Bugs Bunny. And it was a Saturday morning, and so they were just humoring the kids and watching cartoons with us. But Bugs Bunny said something. I had to ask my dad, what did he mean? What did he mean? What does he mean, Dad? He said something that he was going to buy his family, the kids in the family, IBM stock for Christmas. So I asked my dad, what's IBM stock? What did he mean? And my dad explained it to me. You know, IBM stock the next few years shot through the roof. The satanic cabal has an unwritten code. They have to tell us what they're doing. They have to share with us what they're going to do and what they're doing. And they infuse into music and entertainment and movies and TV shows. That's how they tell us what they're doing. They put it right in the scripts. So they knew IBM was a company that they were going to control the stock market. They were going to control technology for the years that today they control it through Facebook and Google. IBM may be kind of a second player now with their big tech companies, but we know the big tech companies are all under the satanic cabal influence. Zuckerberg and this guy, Jack Dorsey, who ran Twitter, for many years. These are not good people, in my opinion. They're not good people at all. And they don't have our best interest. And they're controlled by the same puppets that control the banks and the education system and the Rockefeller-funded medical system. They're all the same 13 bloodlines that have run the world. And you and I got a glimpse of that working inside media, but they hit it. They hit it so well. And thank God people like Johnny Cash and Peter Jennings were willing to befriend me and tell me things like this, because I didn't understand it. When I worked for James Brown, we were traveling for a week together in Georgia and Alabama. We were doing a TV show called James Brown Living in America. That was my thing, is I'd take artists that were on the downside of their career and give them another year of life by doing a TV show with them. I learned this from my dad, okay? So James Brown's management team loved the idea. They bought it lock, stock, and barrel. So I ended up traveling with James Brown. By the way, he's putting his girdle on backstage before he goes on stage. He wore a girdle. Oh, boy. Yeah. Anyhow, he had 4 backup singers that were women, 2 in front of the stage and 2 in the back of the stage. The 2 in the front of the stage were clearly women in their 30s and 40s. Doesn't matter. Not an issue. The 2 in the back of the stage looked 21, 22, 23 with hair and makeup. Well, backstage one night, they were hanging out, smoking a cigarette without hair and makeup. And I'm listening to these girls talk, and I'm looking at them closely, and I'm going, these are not adult women. They are not adult women. I know. I'm just going to ask them. And I asked them, how old are you girls? They looked at each other and giggled, and they said, well, you can't tell anybody. We told you. They were 15 years old, both of them. Now, why is that significant? Because James Brown and his band would stop these girls backstage when they'd pass them by. They'd stop them in practice when they were warm, doing their practice. And they would grab their butts. They'd pinch their boobs. They physically abused these girls right in front of me. So the pedophilia that we now know is rampant in certain industries has been going on. This was the 90s. Whenever James Brown did Living in America, I'd have to look up the year, but it was in the 90s. And, the media was saying he was a great guy, that he had found the Lord, that he wasn't, he had been in jail several times, that he came clean, found the Lord, and was a good guy. No, he wasn't. He was abusing these 15-year-old girls. And, it pained me. All these years I've been pained by that experience, but at least we understand it now. We have a full understanding what Peter Jennings meant, what Johnny Cash meant, and what I observed with James Brown. These all tie together to form the picture of the satanic cult that runs the world and have been running the world for many years. And this is our enemy now. We're fighting. But as I said on stage, when you heard me speak, we're the mainstream media now, Charlie. That's the good news. We're way more eyeballs and ears than they're getting. CNN can't even get 300,000 homes. Barely. They're at 300, 400,000 homes a night now. They used to be at 4 or 5 million not too many years ago. In the Trump years, they were at 4 or 5 million households. People love to listen to the Trump bashing. But without him to kick around and without any major really news happening, they're on such a downslide. I can share with you a CNN board meeting that happened about 6 months ago. The executive board and the board of directors had an emergency meeting. The subject of the meeting was, should we sell CNN now? About 15 minutes in, one of the longtime board of directors members stood up and said, Who are we bullshitting? We can't get $100 for this network right now. I don't even know why we're having this conversation. We couldn't sell CNN for $100 today. The meeting was over right there and then. So they know they're screwed. They know that they're not in a position to command the kinds of billions of dollars one would think CNN would sell for, right? They know that the mainstream media is fallen, and we're just watching it play out. We're watching the movie. We're watching everything play out, and we're winning, Charlie. We're winning the spiritual war. We're winning the information war. We're winning the key wars. I truly believe that.
Have you seen Barack Bathhouse Barry Obama and his husband Michelle's documentary called what is it? Leave the Earth Behind or Leave the World Behind? I think something like that.
I saw
with
it, yes.
Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts
Yes.
in it.
I
A friend of mine
I
told me
saw
about
it.
that. She said, this is exactly what they're doing, Charlie. You got to understand they are projecting. They're telling us because it has some kind of, as Scotty said, some kind of unwritten code that they have to tell us in advance what's coming. Well, one thing they said at the end of that movie, when we saw all the death and destruction that was being rained down on us, and they couldn't figure out if it was the Muslim Brotherhood or if it was another person said, no, it's the Koreans, the North Koreans, and they couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And at the end, one of the main characters said, it's not coming from anybody. There is no big organization. This is just all, it's not planned in advance, is what they said. And I turned to my friend and I said, oh, it's planned. There is a director, and that director, his time is short. So he's doing everything he can to wrought destruction on God's creation. And that is the devil himself. They're doing his work. But what do you say to that? Because they literally said that. Yeah, there is no big corporation. There's no cabal. In fact, they use the word cabal planning all of this. Do you agree?
Nonsense. Oh, come on. There's a cabal. Now, that cabal is not what it once was. In 2017, December, Trump issued an executive order, seizure of assets for those who were involved in human trafficking and global crimes and corruption. And they have used that executive order, which Joe Biden renewed. You got to ask who's in control of Joe Biden if he renewed that executive order. But it is a seizure. Yeah. It said we can seize the assets for those that are trafficking kids. And, you know, I can't prove it and you can't prove it, but we have both heard of military tribunals that have been held in the background, in silence and secret, that have convicted people. I won't say names because I'll, you know, your show will be called Crackpot, and I don't want that for you. But I have on good sources, these are military contacts, people tied to the U.S. Treasury, Homeland Security, and the military have all confirmed this, that people have been convicted, high level.
And it's not done on American soil. We're talking about Gitmo.
Yes.
So that's how.
And some have been executed.
Yeah.
Some have been executed.
I hear the same thing. I mean, I watched the X-22 report, and I know that's a big thing with Q. I don't really watch Q. I couldn't even tell you how to find Q now these days. But I hear all the time that, oh yeah, the government's in control. Really, President Trump or Donald Trump actually is still president, and Washington D.C. is a corporation, and it's not really part of the country, and it's not included in the. I've heard all this stuff. And my response is all the same. And they actually say the military is in control. And I went, the same military that has Austin and Lloyd, that military, the one that's indoctrinating every single new recruit about the homosexual lifestyle and LGBTQ mafia taking control. That military, that's the one you're telling me that's in control?
No, it's actually not that military in control, because the military is very divided. When JFK was assassinated, 22 American generals got together with military minds around the world. They understood the global nature of the cabal, and they knew their agenda. The military men, these great men who had honor, a code of honor, that worked for the cabal, they understood their agenda. So these 22 generals got together in 1963. Said, we've got to do something to stop their plan. toward a one world government. We know their end game is a one world government, their new world order, their so-called new world order, and they'll do it through controlling our finances and our health. So
And the media.
They want to, and the media, of course. Well, they're still in control of a lot of the media, the mainstream media. They're not in control of you or I or the thousands of podcasters, but of course CNN and NBC and ABC. But they want to implement a central bank digital currency, a CBDC.
That's the
And
most important
they
thing
want
for them to get accomplished.
they want to
That's total
control our health.
Total
Right.
control.
Yeah, they want to control our health through the World Health Organization by implementing a global pandemic treaty. I call it the plandemic. It's a treaty that would basically allow the WHO, the World Health Organization, to tell America you need to shut down, to tell every country in the world what's right or wrong in terms of health control. It's a bad idea. People like Michelle Bachmann have been working full time against this kind of. They're voting in May on this treaty. Biden, of course, will sign the treaty, giving the WHO control over our health matters. So right now, they're just a think tank, an NGO that has a say-so on the global stage. But this treaty will give them the legal right to mandate jabs and lockdowns and masks and everything, to blow out that agenda again. They're gonna try it again. I believe they will,
because it worked.
Because
it worked in 2020. It worked. So why
they
wouldn't
won
they try
that
it again?
battle, didn't they?
They're going to try anything at this point. They're going to throw everything at that chalkboard and see what sticks, because they are desperately trying to keep President Donald Trump out of the election and out of being reelected, because they know if that happens, their days are greatly numbered. And he's the only thing that has been standing against the New World Order, because otherwise, if it would have been under Hillary Clinton, imagine where we would be right now.
So I want to finish the 22 generals. Very important. I tell you this. And I believe it's 100% valid, the idea that the military is split. There's the good white hats, and then there's the bad hats, the black hats. The ones you see on TV, the Austins, the military generals that go before the camera and speak through the media and cover Joe Biden's ass, right? And all the double speak we hear from those guys. There is a white hat element, a white hat contingency, a global, not just the American military generals, globally. And I will tell you from my sources, and I believe it's true, I don't know if they're winning the battle as I've been told they are, because I don't see the proof. I see pieces and parts of the plan, but I'm not privy to the plan, of course. I'm just one guy, doing what you're doing. But Putin, Trump, and Xi have a common enemy. It's the central bankers. All three men hate the central bankers. Xi doesn't want them up his butt. The Central Bank of China is a global run central bank. Xi is a dictator. He'd like them gone. Putin threw them out years ago. There's no central bank in Russia anymore. Putin threw them out. We know Trump's working toward a sound money system, asset-backed, gold, silver-backed currency, and getting rid of the Federal Reserve. In fact, he put the Federal Reserve under the U.S. Treasury during his presidency. That went without any media coverage. Nobody heard about that. The Federal Reserve was reduced to a consultant role, and they haven't printed any money. If someone can show me a dollar bill printed after 2017, I'd love to see it, because they stopped the printing presses in 2017 under Trump's orders. Federal Reserve stopped printing money. So I do believe this white hat plan is in effect, and they are fighting. They're fighting on several fronts. I know they've been blowing up tunnels. There's evidence, all kinds of evidence, that they've been blowing up the tunnels used for human trafficking all over.
You're talking about at our southern border or anywhere?
All over the world. Part of what they're doing, part of what Putin's doing in Ukraine, he's really got a mission to do three things. Take out the neo-Nazis, which he told Tucker about. He told Tucker about the neo-Nazis.
Yep.
The biolabs that the Bidens invested in, the Biden labs where they develop these viruses, and then the human trafficking and the human trafficking tunnels. Ukraine is the headquarters for the cabal. That's why Putin's in there. Yeah, he may want control over a broader USS. He might like to reestablish the USSR. It's possible. I can't.
Oh, yeah, he said he wanted to do that. That was his goal.
Yeah, he wants that culture. He wants to be a quote dictator, but only in his region of the world. He does not wish to control the rest of the world. Nor does Xi Jinping.
Like China.
Well, Xi Jinping.
You think China doesn't want to control the whole world?
No, China, the bad guys, the black hats do for sure. But Xi Jinping is a double agent. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Xi Jinping is playing both sides of the fence. He is working with Trump and Putin to take out the central banking cabal. Now, what he does after that, who knows? He may be playing them, right? He may get rid of the central banks in his country and then carry on the agenda to take over the world. Who knows what he plans to do? But in the meantime, these men are working together to destroy the central banking organizations around the world, because as long as they control the money flow, as long as the money changers control the financial system, they control everything. You remember what Amschel Rothschild said? He's like 4 generations ago of Rothschilds. He said, give me control of a nation's currency, and I care not who makes laws. So we've got to get rid of these central banking organizations that run the financial system of every country. You know, BRICS got rid of it. The BRICS nations are not under the control of central banks. They're operating under their own new financial system, which is backed by gold and silver.
Gold back,
yes,
yeah.
Yes. So we're Johnny come lately.
It used to be
70% of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, first of all, not everybody knows what BRICS is. Can you give us a quick?
Brazil,
rundown?
Russia, India, China, and South Africa. That's the BRICS.
Yeah. These countries are creating their own currency and saying, this is what we're going to use. Forget what everybody else is doing. And you want to do business with us, you're going to do it this way. Kind of how the European Union tried with the EU.
Exactly.
And then you had, when you had Britain go, you know what? No, we don't want to be a part of this. We want to go back to how it used to be. That has been eroding their power ever since somebody actually stood up and did that. And the whole plan of one currency, one world government, Star Trek utopia, where you will comply, as Klaus Schwab himself said, you will own nothing and be happy. Well, if I'm going to own nothing, who owns it? Klaus. Who owns all of this stuff? What do you mean I'll own nothing? But that is their agenda. That's absolutely their agenda. But you're telling me that my president, Trump, is working with 2 very bad guys, for the most part, bad guys, Putin and Xi. Does that not make him a bad guy as well?
No, because they're working toward a common, remember, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, that old expression. And that is why he's working with them. He knows that in the big picture scheme of things, those men may have other plans for the world. But I'm pretty sure when Putin handed Trump that soccer ball, you remember Putin handing Trump a soccer ball? Oh, yeah. And he said, Mr. President, the ball's in your court. This is what he meant. He meant you're running the show now, and I'm with you, but the ball's in your court. And I truly believe that part of the agenda, the white hat military alliance that has guys like Putin and Xi working to eliminate the central banking system, that's what they're working toward. And in order to do so, you've got to take down their biolabs, their human trafficking infrastructure, all the things they plan to effectuate to kill us, to control the children, and to implement their one world government. Those things have to be taken out. So you see Putin in Ukraine doing that. We see now Israel, the other place biolabs and trafficking tunnels exist. They're in Israel doing the same thing, taking those tunnels out and destroying the biolabs. Taiwan is next. Now they're starting to go into Taiwan because Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine are completely controlled by the deep state. Those are 3 countries that are playgrounds for the deep state. They have set up large infrastructures in all 3 countries. And this is why these countries are now being attacked. And they're being attacked by white hats to take out the infrastructure of the black hats. That's what's going on, Charlie. Hard to believe, I know.
Are they going to be successful in time? What do you see as the future for the well, first of all, if we could even just get some freaking Californians to show up for the primary election is March 5th. A third of the state of California claims to be Christian. Only about 40% of them are even registered to vote. And when it comes to midterm and primary elections, we're in the teens for Christians who even show up to vote. It's dismal. And this California has rigged the system to where they can have 2 Democrats running for the same office if we don't get one Republican to get enough votes. We're not showing up. We could turn the tide on this state of California in one election if we actually follow through on our own civic duty of voting. Do you think we have any hope? What do you see? Is there any light at the end of the tunnel in November of 2024 this year?
Well, I think absolutely yes. I'm a glasses half full guy. I have a tremendous optimism that the White Hat Alliance will succeed at a global level. Overarching, the central banking system will come down. After all, 70% of the world now underneath the BRICS. 40 more nations joined the BRICS this past few months, and they are all under the asset-backed system now. No central bank controlling the currency. We will come around to that. Canada, Mexico, North America, the rest of the world will join a sound money system with asset-backed currency. So getting rid of the central banking system allows us the freedom to have a sound money system. But what you just said is the key. Locally, in our backyards, there's no help coming. We have to take back California. We have to take back Chicago, Illinois. We have to take back, what did you call it? San Francisco. I love that. I never heard San Francisco. I like that. We have to do that. Mike Flynn says every chance he gets, local action equals national impact. Because we have to take our school boards, our county boards, our city halls. We have to do that. The White Hats aren't coming to rescue us there, Charlie. They're doing something at such a high level to get rid of this Luciferian cult that Johnny Cash told me about, to get rid of their power and control and the structure over money, to turn the table on the money changers. It's biblical. Haggai 2 verses 8, the gold and silver are mine, said the Lord. So this is biblical, what's going on. We're returning to a biblical time of asset-backed sound money. And I'm optimistic that the global control of these deep state Luciferian players is going to be eliminated by virtue of the White Hat plan. But we're stuck taking our own local cities back, our own states back. We the people have to do that. They're not coming to help. Flynn's made that very clear to me the few times I've been able to have a conversation with him, that no one's coming to help us in our backyards. They're operating at such a high level, which we need. We need that without us. We continue on the money system we have, we'll end up with a one world government. That's for sure. There's only one future under a fiat money system, and that's a new world order, one world government. So we have to go back to the gold and silver backed currency. And from there, we can take our local communities back. It's up to us, Charlie. We got to keep doing what we're doing. God bless you for being out there telling the truth, my friend.
Thank you, sir. And right back at you. SCOTTY SAKS. I just have one message I'd like to give to my fellow Californians and fellow believers and followers of Christ Jesus. And that is, I do pray for God's will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. I've read the book of Revelation. I know how it ends. I know that the Lord's kingdom will be reestablished here on earth as it is in heaven. That's promised. That's going to happen. However, what happens during the whole tribulation and everything that's coming, in America, the United States of America, we can be protected if we follow through on our civic duty of electing people who have godly principles and are not afraid to stand up and say, yes, I support life. Yes, I support traditional marriage. Those are the people we should be voting for. Those are the people we should be vetting through our county GOPs and so on. Those are the people we should be supporting. We have 4 very strong Republicans who are running for Dianne Feinstein's old seat against Adam Schiff, who is just a demonic, terrible troll of a man. Yeah. And it's a shame to me that we have 4 great people running for that same office. And what's going to happen when they split the vote come March 5th, primary election? Are they all going to knock each other out of contention? And next thing you know, we have 2 Democrats running for that same. Yeah, that can happen. So we've got to get smart. We've got to show up. We've got to vote. We've got to get informed. We got to know what's going on. Please read your voter pamphlet, even though it's written by Bonta. And I'm sure like Padilla and all the others, they're going to be changing the wording to try and confuse you. But you follow people like SCOTTY. SCOTTY will explain it. SCOTTY, he's ahead of the curve, man. Where do we find you on social media? How do we hear your show? How do we follow what you're doing?
Well, thanks, Charlie. I appreciate it. Everything is at sovereignradio.net. It's sovereignradio.net. The shows can be found through the website. And I'm live every Saturday and Sunday in Texas and California. And you can click on the microphone to listen live or go to Google Play, Apple, and all the major podcast platforms to hear the show after it airs on broadcast radio. I believe broadcasting from the belly of the beast has been a great blessing for me because I'm able to speak to people who are still stuck in the matrix, right? They're good conservatives, good Christian people listening to Sean Hannity and Mark Levin and Charlie Kirk. My program runs right alongside theirs, but they're not yet that indoctrination, that MK Ultra, that played on all of our brains. When did you wake up? Probably not too many years ago, right? When did you really come out of the dream spell and say, this system sucks? It's not for us. I only did that in 2012. It's only been 14 years that I've been awake. And so sovereignradio.net is where you can find everything. And I want to have you on my show, Charlie. We have to set up a time for that.
Oh, Scotty. Absolutely. I'd be thrilled to do that. And sometime I'd like to do another show with you, just talking radio and TV and film stuff, just talking media.
Yeah, we should.
I love talking to old media guys, man. I could talk to for hours talking about media because it's my life. It's all I've known, and I feel blessed to even be in it. And the Lord gave me the capabilities to be able to do what I do. I'm just a simple guy, good old boy from Bakersfield, working in major markets and for big corporations, and now suddenly find myself a standalone. And a lot of times I feel like an island. And then I've been severely limited by social media, knocked down, kicked down, deplatformed. YouTube just pulled my Dr. Judy Mikovits interview. And they said,
no surprise there.
We're canceling the entire channel. We're deleting the whole dang thing. So everything I have on there will be lost. That's what we're up against. I'm not the only one, though. I meet guys like Scotty and I hear stories about what they're doing. They've been doing it longer than me. And I'm like, oh, we're not alone. But I'm glad to hear you say we're winning. And there's one more thing, if you have the time, that you said when you were on stage, both in California and in Arizona. You talked about what's going on with these big networks, and there's lawsuits that have been happening.
Yeah. There's defamation suits. All of them are facing major defamation suits. The first noteworthy one was the Covington kid. I don't remember his name, Nicholas something, but he was
the one wearing the hat with the supposed Indian chief
beat the
drum in his face. Yeah.
So Linwood got him an undisclosed amount. I heard it was $200 million. But Trump and Nunes lead the charge. There are many others who have defamation suits that have been filed against the mainstream media. So not only are they facing a loss of ratings, therefore a loss of revenue. As you know, revenue is directly tied to the ratings, right? How many people watch? make up how much you could charge for an ad, right? You understand that. That was the bread and butter of your years in TV. Your ratings were everything, right? So their ratings are down, their revenue's down, and they face these lawsuits, defamation, which over the next few years are going to amount to billions of dollars that they're going to pay out.
And that's how things actually change, Scotty. That's how things actually change. That's how results happen, because they are owned by wicked, huge corporations that have an agenda. They're part of it. They have that agenda and they know it. That's why you've got George Soros just bought half the stock, controlling share in Odyssey Broadcasting, which is the second largest radio company in the nation. George Soros. This is not by accident. He's buying up Spanish language radio stations all across the country. It's not an accident. We got to go after them financially because they are willing to take a hit in the ratings, as evidenced by what happened at Fox News. Why would you get rid of the most successful talk show host you ever had with Tucker Carlson? Why would you get rid of Dan Bongino? Why would you get rid of Steve Hilton, who was extraordinary on Sunday nights talking about populism? Why would you get rid of people like that if you really cared about ratings? They don't. They care about the agenda. They care about the message and the control. Even Fox News, sad to say. Did I lose you? Did you freeze up? Scotty, are you there? Scotty, can you hear me? Scotty, can you care? I don't know what happened, but we're going to end it on that, I guess. Thank you so much, Scotty SAKS. If you can still hear me, you're an extraordinary gentleman, and I'm looking forward to doing more with you in the future. You're a lot of fun to talk to. This guy's a kick, man. You should see him on stage. He takes that microphone and he starts railing against the media. Yeah. So follow him at sovereignradio.net. I am Charlie Simons, and you want to get yourself a nice MyPillow product? There's like 40 of them now. There's a whole MyPillow store made in the United States of America. Mike Lindell, one of my absolute heroes. Use my middle name as the promo code and get up to 80% off right now. That's at mypillow.com/Lee, L-E-E, my middle name, mypillow.com/Lee. And you want to help this show stay on the air? There's ways you can give financially to this ministry. You can also buy some of our products. That would be a big help, like this awesome 15-ounce coffee mug. And we have a t-shirt that says God, Family, Country on the back. Thank you so much for making this happen, sharing these shows. Please share them. You help us grow that way. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, may America bless God.